attention, we're going to get started. On behalf of the Philadelphia Youth Network and all of our stakeholders who are invested in youth employment and summer employment in particular, I am excited to welcome you to our afternoon Bidders Conference. So welcome. My name is Shakima Fulmore Townsend, and I am the President and CEO of the Philadelphia Youth Network. And I have the awesome pleasure of both welcoming you, telling you a little bit about the Philadelphia Youth Network, and doing an overview of the youth workforce system. And I'll be followed by my dynamic and talented colleague, Farah Farnese, who is going to walk you through the procurement process and all of the information you need to be prepared and equipped for the application. So, the Philadelphia Youth Network, who are we? What do we do? We're a solutions builder. We look at how do we create new solutions within the city of Philadelphia to maximize our assets, our resources, our human capital in order to support young people between the ages of 12 and 24 to interrupt the cycle of poverty and live a productive life. Our vision is to alleviate poverty and inequity through education and employment. So we believe that in order to both interrupt and transcend beyond poverty, young people need access to both education and employment opportunities. And that's the business that we've been in over the past 20 years. We do not do this work alone. We do this work in partnership with many talented organizations all across the city, some of whom I see some familiar faces in the city today, and some of whom we hope will be successful in the process and join us. One of the things that I hope you will take some pride in is that you are part of a city that is invested in young people and have been for a really long time. And together we've created over 192,000 opportunities for young people over the past 20 years. And that is worth celebrating. It's important that we as a city work collectively because there are a significant amount of young people who are in need of the experiences. So in addition, there's about 90,000 young people seeking employment, and on the other half, we have employers who are saying, nearly half of them are saying that the talent is not ready. They're not ready to enter into the workforce. So strong education and employment opportunities help young people to prepare to meet those talent needs. For us, how do we do that, right? How do we help bridge the gap between the talent that we know we see every day and the needs of employers? Well, we do that in a variety of ways, one of which is summer employment, and Farah is going to go deeper into that today. But our job is to coordinate partners, to coordinate resources, to look at policy and help make both policy and practice work simultaneously for the benefit of young people. I like to say that means we will not turn away any friend, right? We like to understand different aspects of any common problem, and we look for win-win-win solutions. We look for solutions that will meet the needs of multiple stakeholders. Typically, young people who are served by PYN, have been largely young people of color. And largely over 89% of those young people live at the federal poverty, below or at the federal poverty line. So when we say that we are trying to make sure that these opportunities support the most needy young people within the city, that's intentional in order to interrupt intergenerational poverty. These results are from our last program year. They're published in our annual report. What's important for you to know? A couple of things. We have short-term and long-term opportunities. So today we'll be talking about short-term experiences, which are summer employment experiences. We have other short-term experiences, but we also support youth employment and education programs all year round. We don't do that. We do that with a host of both service provider partners and also a host of companies all across the city, nearly 1,000 work sites all across the city last year, and that number has been pretty consistent across the years. We have two major initiatives, Work Ready Philadelphia, which most of you are familiar with, and Project U-Turn as well. Both of those things work in tandem for us to achieve the mission and vision of the organization. And 2 years ago, we released our career development framework, which guides the way the system will respond to those youth needs. It is not a programmatic framework, but Farah will go into that more deeply with you later on in the presentation. So let me tell you a little bit about what PYN has been up to over the last, I would say, since the release of our Strategic Plan 2020 Vision. If you have not seen it, there are actually copies outside on the desk, and please feel free to take them. That means one less thing we have to take with us, but also you can download it from our website as well. When we released 2020 Vision, we set 3 bold goals, and we outlined clearly the 3 roles that we intend to play as an organization. The first is of a system builder. We were looking to create a system of coordinated opportunities that will regenerate itself at 20,000. Now, 20,000, you may say, is either ambitious, or some people look at that number and say it's not enough. When you see how many young people, or you see a 90,000 number who are not working, or consistently for us, the number has been around anywhere from like 15 to 17,000 young people are applying for summer jobs alone. That does not include our year-round portfolio. So that's a significant amount of young people who are demonstrating that they would like the opportunity to learn more about the world of work, to improve their academic skills, and it's our job to try to create as many opportunities to respond to that need. We have so far, on our journey to get to 20,000 and have 20,000 be scalable, we are at 17,020 opportunities so far. And we hope to get to 20,000 in the last year of our strategic plan, which we are coming up on shortly. Our second role is that of an innovation incubator. Now, innovation is one of those buzzwords I know you hear often. For PYN, we wanted to distinguish that it is not new for new's sake. We wanted to invest in new strategies that will remove barriers to employment and enhance educational outcomes. And we did not want to necessarily do that forever. We wanted to take the period of time to learn from those new strategies and make some clear determinations about whether those strategies would be scaled, whether they would be transported back into the larger system, or if we learned that this is actually not the best way to do something and we need to do something differently. Ultimately, in our innovation incubation space, there is no failure, there's only learning, and we set out a goal to scale 3 pilots. We were fortunate to have a significant amount of resources in the first 2 years of our strategic plan, so we actually launched 8 pilots, and one of them has already been scaled. By December, we will be hitting sort of the 2-3 mark, and we're going to continue to move forward. So that's a huge success that we're really proud of. And lastly, our third role is that of a strategic consultant. So I like to say, you don't have to make all the mistakes yourself. We've been doing this for 20 years, so we should probably just share some of the mistakes that we made in hopes that other communities would learn and grow and be able to scale their work. But also what we've found is that when we provide our services in other communities, we also learn, and our system at home benefits as well. So we have actually achieved that goal. Our goal was to be in 2 states beyond Pennsylvania, and we have been in Detroit and Seattle. And that was a really successful lesson. We still have many more lessons to learn with that work, but I think what's important here is that we've been able to see youth employment programs improve in both of those areas. More young people have been served, and as a result, we've strengthened our programs and processes at home. So it's a bi-directional set of learning, and everybody benefits when we participate in those relationships. I want to spend a little bit of time talking through how the overall youth workforce development system works and what roles. So there are a couple of critical points that I would like to share with you today. The first is that the resources, the financial resources that support the system come from many different places. And some of those places are federal, some of them are state level, some of them are city government, and others are local, private philanthropy, business, as well as national philanthropy. So you can imagine when resources are coming from multiple places, that means they all also have individual sets of rules, responsibilities, and outcomes. And that can be very challenging. The role of PYN is to sort of assess how all of those multiple resources will work together to accomplish our local goals. And I also like to say, when you have that much money, there's a lot of strings attached. It's our job to make sure that those strings never get tangled. to be intentional about how resources are used so we maximize the impact, and also to maximize the different levels of expertise. So we partner with providers because you have the expertise of delivering the services, and we help to support that by taking away some of the challenges. You don't have to navigate 56 funding sources. We take care of that as a part of our role as stewards of the system. That also means that when money flows from multiple places, multiple entities are involved, many system partners, many leaders, from the Department of Human Services to family court to the school district. Many youth serving systems are interested in youth employment because it is a concrete way to solve many challenges. How to make classroom learning more relevant, how to ensure youth are safe in the community, how to ensure that youth are preparing for self-sufficiency. Well, a clear way to do that is to expose them to the world of work, and summer employment, both locally and nationally, is a common way to do that. And we've been in that work for a really long time. That allows us to do a couple of things. I think, one, maximize the assets that we have in this community towards a common goal. Two, when we have multiple system leaders investing in the system but also championing the work that we do, it allows us to knit together different points of action so that they're working synergistically, so that they're working collectively in order to achieve the goal. And that's really important. That's an intentional part of the design of the youth workforce development system. We also created a career development framework, and so how that plays into the system is it guides the way the number and the type of opportunities are growing. It provides a common set of standards across programs while maintaining the beauty and the individuality of each organization's program design and responsiveness to the population that they're serving. It provides you with sort of guidelines and boundaries, and it also makes the standards really clear so that employers and post-secondary education institutions and the young people are really clear about, when I engage in this experience, this is how we're going to come out on the other side. It gives us all common language to work from, and it gives us some clear guidance in terms of program quality, and that's really important. We also have many partners, and for those of you who participated before, you may be a partner. And there are also other folks who are invested in the system as well, who support many parts of the system, and that's also intentional. When you have many partners, you have many entry points, right? And our job is to make opportunity more abundant to young people, and we can do that in partnership with our service providers. And then the young people themselves. It's important that we be responsive to as many different types of young people as we can. Young people are dynamic and diverse. Their interests, their skill sets, their brilliance is just as diverse as you or I, and the path that they'll take is naturally going to be distinct to them. That is a natural part of a life. While having a youth workforce development system with multiple points of entry that can grow and flex and respond to the needs that we're seeing, both in terms of industry, in terms of youth need, and in terms of resources, what we've done is create a level of stability here in Philadelphia that we can continue to build upon in partnership with many organizations like the ones who are represented here today. That is my overview, and now I'm going to turn it over to Sarah.
Thank you, Shakima. So hi everyone, my name is Farah Farnese. I am the Senior Director of External Relations at PYN. I've been at PYN for a little over 11 years. I've played a lot of different roles, running programs directly, working with our business community, doing a lot of the pilots that Shakima had mentioned. And I was fortunate enough to really take on the role of kind of stewarding this RFP with our multiple partners. And so it's really a pleasure for it to be released and for me to be up here talking to you about the details of this RFP. So just an overview of what we will be covering in this session. We'll be going over the funding priorities. As Shakima mentioned, there's multiple stakeholders, and we've identified across PYN, the city, the various priorities that we're really outlining within this RFP. I will be going into our career development framework. Some of you may have seen this presentation before, but we wanted to make sure that everybody was really familiar with the framework, the details of that framework, and how you can be using that framework to think about your programs in relation to this RFP and your programs in general as an organization. I will be going over the model descriptions as outlined in the RFP of our foundational models as well as our Innovation Accelerator. I will highlight the operational requirements that is expected of any contracted provider that is successful through this RFP process. Also, just highlighting our proposal guidelines, and I will bring up a colleague to go through the submission process of how you will actually upload your documents. And finally, the rubric review. So just a quick note, everything except the last two items have already been included in the RFP. We'll not be necessarily sharing new information, we will just be highlighting the information from the RFP. The last two is not currently in the RFP, and this is what will be new for this bidders conference, just so everyone knows kind of what the expectations are of what will be shared today. Before we get into that, really in order to streamline communication to ensure that everyone has an opportunity to have answers and questions answered, we are asking that you write any questions that you have on note cards, or feel free to directly email to pynrfp@pyninc.org. We are committing to getting all questions that have been submitted today posted by next Wednesday. I will let everyone know that any questions submitted as of this past Friday are currently posted. So we do have answers to questions already posted that were submitted as of last Friday. And any questions from today, please write them down or simply send an email. You know, everybody with smartphones, it might just be easier. And we will commit to getting everything posted by the 28th on our website, which you can find all of the RFP materials at pyninc.org/RFP. I do also want to highlight that we are not handing out any hard copies of documents today, but the slides as well as the recording of this conference will be posted by this Friday. So anyone that is not able to attend or anyone from your organization that would like these information, that the resources will be available online. And if you would like to go back to the content that I'm presenting today, we will have the video available by the end of this week. So as Shakima mentioned in the larger system overview, there are multiple stakeholders that are both committed to summer employment and also funding summer employment. For this particular procurement, we have two real anchor funders, which are the City of Philadelphia through the Department of Human Services and Philadelphia Works, which is our local workforce investment board. In addition to our anchor funders, we have multiple partners in the private sector as well as other public sector funders, including the School District of Philadelphia, that are putting money in towards summer employment. Some of our private sector investors include national foundations, local foundations, as well as employers and corporate foundations themselves. And so blending all of that together, PYN really looks at creating a more streamlined system to increase impact. This RFP has blended the requirements, the expectations, and the priorities of these multiple funding sources. So as you are going through this procurement process and if successful in becoming a subcontracted provider, we are intending that your experience is more streamlined so that you're not dealing with those multiple sources, that we are doing that as PYN, and that you are able to focus on the implementation of the program itself. With that being said, we have identified within the RFP 4 funding priorities that we are looking for to ensure that the summer system is operating at the highest potential for young people in the city. So the first priority that we have is connecting summer opportunities to other career development activities, aligning opportunities with PYN's career development framework, expanding the reach of summer opportunities to youth who have the greatest need and least connection, and then finally, supporting a variety of opportunities to meet the various needs and assets of youth and young adults 12 to 24 in the city. So I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on each of these priorities so you really understand our intent about why we're calling these out and what that might mean for you as you are preparing to review the RFP and apply. So with priority 1, connecting summer opportunities to other career development activities. We recognize that summer employment is a short-term opportunity, as Shakima mentioned. You know, most programs are going to run for 6 weeks. Within our Innovation Accelerator, you have an opportunity for longer programming, but still it's a short period of time. And in order to maximize that short period of time, we want to make sure that opportunities are connecting to either established programs that you may already be running, or intentionally making connections to things that young people may be experiencing on their own. So things that are happening in school, things that are happening throughout the city. So if you are not yourself running other programs, that is completely fine. That does not disclude you from applying. But what we do want you to think about is how your program may be able to connect to some things young people are doing outside of just the summer system, and how your program will reinforce and create longer-term career pathways and maximize the summer opportunity. We're really looking for applicants to be able to articulate how that's happening, to articulate how you're connecting to industry partners and other partnerships, or how your programs may align to some of those other activities that are happening. This is very directly aligned with the City of Philadelphia's recently released Fueling Philadelphia Talent Engine. That is the city's workforce strategy. So the city has set a lot of bold goals, and if you have not had a chance to review that strategy, I highly recommend you do so. It has a lot of information about what are the priorities at the city level, and may help you inform where you may be connecting to other citywide opportunities and goals. And then also, this is kind of reinforcing the Future Ready PA Index, which is coming from the Pennsylvania State Department of Education and is aligned with the Every Student Succeeds Act standard. It's Pennsylvania's kind of roadmap for what they're expecting young people in school to be getting, but that does provide a lot, there is a lot of expectation on career readiness. And so we're really looking for you to think about how you are connecting to other larger systems with your summer program. Priority 2 is aligning opportunities with PYN's career development framework. Ultimately here, we want to make sure that applicants are thinking about where their program is fitting within program models that you are running. We have identified our foundational models and where they fit. We also want to make sure you're thinking about the populations you serve, and how are you connecting, if a young person is in an early experience, are they actually prepared for it? Or an intermediate experience? Are you running programs that are across the continuum? Or are you providing opportunities if you're only running early programs, but young people are coming back for multiple years? Are they getting a step up in the next step if they're coming year after year? These are some of the things that we would be looking at to align with the CDF. We also want to make sure you're articulating the skills and mindsets that are outlined in the CDF, which I will go into more detail in a minute, that you're articulating those skills and mindsets that your programs will be focusing on. With priority 3, expanding the reach of summer opportunities for young people who have the greatest need and least connection. We recognize that young people, based off of where they are living, based off of schools that they are attending, based off of systems that they may be connected to, have unfortunately become more and more removed from a lot of the programming that is available. And so we are really trying with this RFP to make sure we're calling out that young people in these various populations, high poverty, high crime, juvenile justice and foster care systems, pregnant and parenting teens, attending schools with key identified low connection schools, and youth with disabilities. These are the populations that we are calling out. Specific details, including zip codes and the specific schools that we are counting as these priority populations, can be found in Appendix 2 of the RFP. We do outline specific zip codes, as well as the specific schools, and also the specific details of what a youth with a disability counts as, the state guidelines. We understand, though, that working with these populations may come at a higher cost. And as a result, we are aligning our cost per slot to accommodate that. So if you are committing to supporting with your program at least 90% of your slot level coming from these populations, you will have a higher cost per slot to operate your program, because we recognize that there needs to be additional supports, additional recruitments, and so forth. When we go into individual program models, I will talk about that cost per slot change, but we do want to call out, one, we're asking you to think about how we're increasing that, but also will be kind of understanding and increasing the cost per slot to accommodate that support as well. And for the supporting a variety of opportunities that meet the varied assets and needs of young people 12 to 24, we're really looking for programs that are creating innovative approaches to create career pathways. We want to make sure that the programs that we are funding are supporting a variety of experiences and young people in the city. And as an organization, we are intending to be a little bit more equitable around the models that we are serving. Currently, when we look at our system, many of our slots are going into one of two models, our work experience and our internship model. We are really hoping to see more diversity with applicants in our service learning, our career exposure, and even in our new Innovation Accelerator opportunity. That does not mean that you cannot apply for previous models that you have operated under, but what we are asking is that you evaluate the populations you're serving, and if you have served 100 young people, are they best served in one model, or are they best served in maybe multiple models, 2 models, based off of the populations you're serving? It's not a requirement, but we're just trying to push that envelope so that we're seeing a varied kind of menu of program and opportunities across the city for young people that are meeting the needs in the system. I'm going to spend a little bit of time now talking about our career development framework. As Shakima mentioned, we released it a little over 2 years ago in January 2018 at our annual meeting. It was a result of about 2 years of research and vetting with partners. And it was in response to the fact that we were constantly hearing from multiple stakeholders that a lot of resources were going into the system, but we still weren't preparing young people for the jobs locally. And this was an effort to really create a unified approach to skill development, career readiness, career retention and advancement, bridging the career pathway needs of the emerging workforce with the needs of employers and the expectations. So the way that the framework is really intended to be used is, one, to create shared language. How are we talking about phases of development? How are we talking about the skills that young people need to be developing? And what are the actual expectations of employers? And that's what we hope to combine, both what we're seeing in positive youth development research, what we're hearing from employers, and putting it into one place so that we can talk language in the same way. You'll hear me reference a lot early, intermediate, advanced. These are categories of types of experiences. When we talk about skills and mindsets, I'll go into these in a little bit detail. This is what we are aiming to build and develop while young people are in programming. So as a practitioner, we're really hoping that you think about the framework as what I've been talking about. Where are your programs fitting? Who are the young people that you're serving? Are your programs aligned with the readiness and the continuum that young people are in? What are the skills and mindsets that you are really good at supporting? What are the skills and mindsets that you haven't done in your programs? And are there ways to infuse those opportunities? That's really so the framework can be used by practitioners to help you think about your programs themselves and how to increase scale and quality. We also look at helping employers identify how they can be connected to developing the continuum and pipeline of employees themselves. Many of you have probably worked with workforce partners when they're getting connected to a program with your 14, 15-year-olds in a summer experience, and they're like, well, they weren't ready to take my jobs. It's like, that wasn't the intent. They are still 2 steps away from being ready to get into employment in your company. This is where this program sat, in this lane, in this part of the continuum. And we need your help to help develop out those opportunities. Or we need your help to open up your door to do exposure and opportunities so that young people even know what it is that you're doing so that we can build on opportunities. And it's really helping employers think through that. It also helps them recognize what an advanced training program would be that would fill their job needs. So if they really are coming to you and saying, I have 5 jobs that I need to be filled, or I have 20 jobs that I'm expecting to need to be filled in a couple years, how are you thinking about more advanced programming that is really training towards those type of experiences and filling those experiences? So that's how we see the framework supporting employers. It's assisting funders with aligning their investments to the priorities for them and understanding the outcomes that they will achieve by where the program fits. Many of you have probably had a similar experience, but this is a story I often tell. We had a partner come up and say, I have $10,000 and I want to get as many kids into jobs as possible. And I pulled out my framework and I said, okay, here is the landscape. In an early opportunity, we, for your $10,000, can probably get between 200 and 500 kids in an exposure opportunity, getting them just into a work site for a day. For your $10,000, I can probably get about 5 young people into a summer employment opportunity. And that's not going to result in a full-time experience, it's going to result in short-term summer employment, 6 weeks. It's not gonna end up in like a full-time job at a company. Or for your $10,000, I can get one student in a high-quality training program. So with your $10,000 investment, which of those three options feels best to you? What outcomes are you most interested in? And it was really a game-changing type of conversation. And it really has helped funders think about, oh, I actually want more kids, and I now understand that the outcome I'm gonna get. Or no, I really want a job, and I recognize if I wanna see more, I might need to put up more investment. And finally, policymakers. How are we making sure that the people that are making decisions about big level funding are aware of the impacts if everything's going towards advanced training programs and we're not developing pipelines in the early and intermediate phase? We're never going to have people ready for the advanced programming.